Hey guys, what's up? It's Kevin for the win. We're back for another edition of Diablo 3. Today on the channel, we are taking a look at the Pestilence Master Shroud set armor for the Necromancer. Alright, Pestilence Master Shroud. 2-piece bonus. Each corpse you consume fires a corpse lance at a nearby enemy. 4-piece bonus. Each enemy you hit with Bone Spear, Corpse Lance, Corpse Explosion reduces your damage taken by 2% up to a maximum of 50%, lasts for 15 seconds. 6-piece bonus. Each corpse you consume grants you an empowered Bone Spear charge that increases the damage of your next Bone Spear by 33,000%. In addition, Corpse Lance and Corpse Explosion damage is increased by 33,000% as well. So, basically for this build, we're just going to be using Corpse Lances, so don't pay attention to anything else in terms of set-piece bonuses. Alright. Also, we're going to be using Captain Crimson, 6,000 life per second, reduces cooldown all skills by 20%, reduces all resource costs by 20%. 3-piece damage is increased by your percentage of cooldown, damage is reduced by a percentage of cost reduction. We're going to be using conventional elements, Crisp and Sentence for the rings. Crisp and Sentence, you deal 81% increased damage against slowed enemies, triple this bonus against enemies affected by any other type of status effect. This is a placeholder, you don't really have to run that. The Johnstons you definitely do have to run for the necklace, because it powers up your Corpse Lances, which I'm going to show you right here. When Land of the Dead expires, you are granted 50 stacks of Maccabee knowledge, and that Maccabee knowledge increases the damage of Corpse Lance and Corpse Explosion by 191%. It's up to like 200% if you get a perfect roll on it. Alright, for the skills, Corpse, Land of the Dead, Frozen Land, Devour, Satiate, Blood Rush, Molting, Simulacrum, Reservoir. You also want to run Corpse Lance, Brittle Touch. This is where all your source of damage is coming from. Passive, Stand Alone. You want to run Overwhelming Essence. You also want to run Blood is Power. And Final Service. Relina Shadow Hook, Course Whisperer's Pauldrons, and Ring of Royal Grandeur in the Canized Cube. For the follower, use a Broken Crown. Use a Nemesis Bracer's Flavor of Time. Everything else that you add on here is not going to give you too much benefit. Goldskin is okay. Kratos' Phlegm is pretty dumb. Alright, so, unlike our armors, this is kind of weird. You're going to have to activate your Land of the Dead, and then you're just going to have to hold in your Consume button. That way you can fire off a barrage of Corpse Lances that will be firing off as a whole bunch of missiles. The purpose of this build is to try to speed farm through things as fast as possible. When you no longer have the Corpse Spears being able to be rapid fired off by Land of the Dead, what you're going to need to do is use your command skeletons to attack targets, kill those targets, and then use those targets' body to fire off Corpse Lances. While attacking with your minions, obviously you will be building back up your cooldown for Land of the Dead. If you need an extra corpse, what you do is you use your Blood Rush. So you teleport away, it'll leave a corpse behind, and you can use that as a Corpse Lance. Now, I have to tell you guys right off the bat, this is one of these armors that performs really well at speed farming from anything that is Greater Rift 60 and under, Torment 13 and under. It really benefits the most. As you go higher up in the Greater Rift, particularly as you get to Torment 16, you are going to run into a tremendous amount of problems. Obviously, if you get a bad dungeon layout like I just did, and you waste a Land of Dead like I just did, you won't be able to fire off a lot of lances, and then you're going to wait a tremendously long time for your cooldown to build back up, which means then you got to rely on your essence, and particularly your command skeletons, to hopefully create things. So this armor suffers greatly if you don't get a good dungeon layout like I just did, which is why I'm actually showing this particular run that we did, because it just kind of shows you some of the weakness. Subsequently, on not really on high Greater Rifts, obviously you're going to have a harder time trying to clear through. This works best from Torment 13 and under. Some people can get it to perform a little bit better on high leaderboard placement, but you need to have a ton of optimization to be able to try to do so. So let's talk about what you need to do in terms of optimization. And unlike a lot of other armor builds that I talk about on this channel where you can kind of get by with only like free augmentations, no, you're going to need a lot more here. Alright, so for starters, what do you need to do to optimize this particular armor to get it to perform better or as decently as you see it doing here? Well, obviously we are using Captain Crimson. So, the first thing we need to invest in is cooldown reduction wherever possible. You want 8.0%, the maximum cooldown reduction that you can get on anywhere that you can fit it in without sacrificing from other parts of the build. Definitely, you need that. Cooldown reduction everywhere. Then from there, you're going to need resource cost reduction 8.0% wherever you can get it. So preferably on a piece of armor, you want to see 8.0 cooldown reduction and 8.0 resource cost reduction. That way you can maximize the free piece bonus of Captain Crimson. Subsequently, the next thing that you're going to need to do for optimization sake is you need critical hit damage, because Necromancers desperately need critical hit damage for the majority of their builds. So, for starters, we need crit hit chance 6.0% on the helm. Subsequently, on the gloves, you need crit hit damage 50%, crit hit chance 6.0%, and then also on the gloves, you need an attack speed at least 8.0%. 7.7 is okay, 6% is okay, 8.0% is kind of important because you need to be able to fire off these corpse lances incredibly fast so you can maximize the amount that you're going to be able to get off when you consume corpses via the land of the dead. Because that's how you're firing off all your corpse lances, through the Devour particular skill after you've activated Land of Dead. It's basically giving you free corpse lances without the corpses. So that's the vital part of the build. Subsequently, after that, what would we want to do to power up this particular build? Well, that's very simple, my friends. Obviously, the only attacking skill that we're really using on this set is Corpse Lance. So, you would want to get 15% power up of Corpse Lance wherever possible. The reason for that is that, obviously, since it's the only thing you're attacking with, and you're actually just going through like a bat out of hell, trying to get the most optimal, fast, speedy farm type of build out of this armor, having increased damage in Corpse Lance is the only way to go. Power up Command Skeletons is not really going to do much, because Command Skeletons are just here to help mitigate with the cooldown. We are not using primary resource generators here. You could probably put one in. It's not really going to help your build long term here. You're just kind of trying to set up for these Corpse Lances. As you saw, Greater of 65, Torment 14 difficulty, 4 minutes and 21 second clear time, which is pretty respectable for a non-fully optimized armor. Again, going back to optimization sake, what else has to be optimized on this armor outside of cooldown, resource cost reduction, crit hit chance, crit hit damage, attack speed? Well, my friends, the next thing you're going to need to do is have all your pieces at least Ancient Legendary or Primal Ancient Legendary value. The reason for that is you're going to need to augment all your pieces of armor, your rings, your necklace, your weapon, and if you're using an offhand, the offhand as well, because everything in this build, in order to just perform extremely well in Torment 16, needs maximum optimization. So, in order to get to that Greater If 150, you will need to augment your armor piece at no less than 100 on every piece. No less than a legendary gem that is 100 value. If you are struggling in the lower Greater Rifts, and I can definitely understand that because his armor starts struggling as it goes past Torment 13, what you can do is you can augment at level 80, so that way it can give you a little bit more oomph and bang for your buck, but then you are going to have to go back and augment everything over and rewrite all those stats, because you can overwrite a stat with gems that are level 100 plus in value. The higher the level, the better the attack stat will be for you, so I can't stress it enough. If this is this type of armor that you want to rock and get high leaderboard placement, you are going to need a tremendous amount of investment and a tremendous amount of time on your hand. I'm not saying that this is a bad build. It's actually a pretty good build. I don't think I would personally invest as much in this particular set as I would, let's say, the Masquerade of the Burning Carnival, because as all of you know, Masquerade of the Burning Carnival, as I talked about in the Season 24 revisit, despite a minor 6-piece bonus, little bit of a nerf, which wasn't too major, it still is pretty much the S-tier armor in terms of set armors. The only thing else that also gives it obviously a run for its money is obviously Legacy of Dreams Poison Scythe, but both of those are S-tier. Pestilence Corpse Lance is something that I would put, when full optimized, can be somewhere in the high tier to mid tier range. Again, it depends on the player. There's some amazing Corpse Lance Pestilence build players out there. Unfortunately, I'm just not a fan of that particular build, and it's a little bit more difficult to use on console. But as you see, I'm complaining about it and say it's not that great, and yet I'm still pretty much decimating with it. Just another thing that you have to worry about is obviously if you take an unnecessary death, it kind of slows things down a wee bit. So definitely keep that in mind. So, and this is one of those armies you want to attack from far. Now, what can you do to improve this armor? Well, there's a couple things. Bane of the Stricken, Bane of the Trap. Obviously, you want Goak of Swiftness as opposed to Zay's Stone of Vengeance, because Goak of Swiftness will help you maintain Land of the Dead and get it back a little bit quicker, which is kind of very important with this particular build. So definitely keep that in mind. You can't really say Stone of Vengeance because you lose a lot of cooldown. You need as much cooldown as possible, obviously, for Captain Crimson in general. So that's pretty much it. So I would say this armor is like high tier depending on the player. They can get it to a greater if 150 if they're fully optimized and spend enough time, because it is possible. But it's going to take you a lot of work. For most casual players and most newer players, I'd say you're probably going to get walled around Torment 16 difficulty. So I would say you probably, if you're not fully optimizing it, you're going to kind of run into a wall around greater rift 100 to 120. More experienced players with not full optimization maybe can get it to 130, but only a true master of Pestilence set, in particular Corpse Lance build, will be able to get to that 150. So this is one of those intermediate type of armors where you need a lot of things and a lot of optimization to be able to get it to work the way you want it to. So with that being said, heed my advice. If you're playing seasonal character, probably you want to swap from the Tragul's Avatar, because that is the starter set armor for Diablo 3, to Masquerade of the Burning Carnival. However, if you do happen to run into Pestilence before that, what you can do is obviously rock this to about Torment 13, and then you'll probably have to wait. This good armor, though, because on those levels, lower levels, you can speed farm through things within 2 to 3 minutes, which means you can do a lot of runs and get the pieces for Masquerade of the Burning Carnival a lot faster than you would with the Tragul's Avatar set. So, definitely something to look forward to. As I said before, it's really a matter of micromanaging your Land of the Deads and getting the most out of them. Again, it's very, very dependent on the layout. There's sometimes you run into a dungeon that is just god-awful. There's no other way to put it. And you will have to make the adjustments necessary to try to be able to perform with it. My recommendation, if you want something easy for leaderboard placement, go with Masquerade of the Burning Carnival, Bone Spear. It does pretty much the same thing as this, but with less having to rely on something as niche as like Land of the Dead and cooldown rotations. Has a greater of 74-minute clear time. Again, not fully optimized armor. Fully optimized, probably 2-minute clear time. Alright. We're going to do a greater of 80 so I can show you how this is going to perform on this particular level. Again, Land of the Dead, and then you're going to hold in your Devour button, whatever it is that you have it binded to, and then you're going to fire off a whole bunch of Corpse Lances. Obviously, you want to try to maintain them up. When you don't have it up, what you're going to use is use your Command Skeleton to kill targets. You will also want to teleport around the map to create corpses. Every corpse that you see, just fire off some Bone Spears as well. As you fire off the Bone Spears, you will be able to do a significant amount of damage to certain targets because you're coming off of the Johnstons, and it will help you build back up the cooldown reduction of Land of the Dead. If you want full cooldown reduction, my recommendation is to put Flawless Royal Diamonds wherever possible. That way you'll have more cooldown reduction. The problem with that is you won't have as much intelligence invested, but I think for this particular build it's more important to have cooldown than it is having the max amount of intelligence. You could always maximize your intelligence on your armor pieces with good rolls. I will have a link in the description to a armor build for this particular set from Icy Veins, and you can kind of work with it from there. If you have your own Pestilence Corpse Lance variation that you'd like to share, feel free to do so in the comment section. The only thing I ask is that you do not link to other content creators' work, as that is a big no-no on my channel. Also ask that you do not link to Max GG rolls, because most of the time, again, it's the same thing where you're linking to a content creator's work and build, which is nice and all, you know, but I kind of frown upon it, because if you're here watching my video, we should be opening a dialogue between us and not talk about somebody else's content. So that's how I kind of view that here. Now, a question that's been asked a lot on the channel is, what is the plan in September for Diablo-related content? Well, like I said before, many times before, Diablo 2 Resurrected is coming out September 23rd. I plan to cover Diablo 2 Resurrected on the channel. I will be doing 2 videos a week, and then the plan is also to do a Diablo 3 video a week. Now, in the beginning for Diablo 2 Resurrected, obviously it's going to take me a while to build up classes and level them up and get good endgame armors and set builds. So my videos, obviously in the beginning, are going to be work in progresses, where they're going to be suggestions, recommendations, and obviously they may not be super end tier, high build, meta builds in the beginning, because remember, I am a variety content creator, so I cover a wide variety of games, not just Diablo content, although obviously when it comes to Diablo, I give it a bit more love on the channel because that's what you guys, the viewers, like to watch. And as long as you continue to watch it, I will continue to make content despite how crazy and crappy and irreprehensible the behavior of Blizzard is. I've talked about this a lot on the channel. I'm mentally exhausted from talking about it at this point. You know, I don't necessarily believe in the boycott. I'm gonna have faith in the law, and I am truly faithful that the law will pursue them and punish them to the full extent of it in court. So we will, you know what, justice will be served. I'll let the courts decide that. I'm not gonna boycott, because boycotts don't really do too much. Look at previous Blizzard boycotts. I hate to say it, although they weren't as bad as the crap that we've read and heard about. And I have a feeling Activision has a lot to play in part to that, because Activision was already a pretty crappy company to begin with, that already had a bad track record, and then when they got Blizzard, a lot of people have already talked about this also, have said, you know, that was just going to ruin the company. So I have a feeling that is in fact the case here. Alright, with that being said though, that's about as much as I'm going to talk about it. So Diablo 2 Resurrected, 2 videos a week, 1 Diablo 3. As I'm going to evaluate Diablo 3 content, if we get Season 25, I'll do Season 25 related content once a week. If there is no Season 25, which is what I think they're going to do, because I think Blizzard's going to want everybody to just move on to Diablo 2 Resurrected and put all the focus there. What I will do in that case is I will make final builds for all the armors that I've covered and builds in Diablo 3, and then we will pretty much, that'll be the send-off on this channel for Diablo 3 content. Like I said, it's kind of bittersweet considering how long I've done Diablo 3 content on the channel. You know, as always, I always thank the viewers who have supported the channel, subbed, liked, commented, etc. I am always eternally grateful to you guys, because you've allowed me to do a lot on this channel and actually grow quite a bit. So, you know, without you, the viewers, I wouldn't be able to do this. But I'm obviously, this isn't the end of the road for Diablo content, because there's Diablo 2 Resurrected, and then there will be eventually Diablo 4, which I think is probably about 2 years off at this point. Maybe more, considering the current happenings in Blizzard with walkouts and everything. So, you know, I have a feeling that's probably development's not going to be as good or as fast on it as before. So, you know, with that being said, though, you know, there's a lot more Diablo still. We got a lot of Diablo 2 on the horizon, which is pretty cool. And we got Diablo 4 on the horizon as well. So, you know, if we gotta say goodbye to Diablo 3, Diablo 3. Oh, correction, it was a greater of 75, not 80. My apologies. That was a 4-minute and 44-second clear time. Alright, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. As always, a like is greatly appreciated. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, definitely consider doing so, as it helps the channel grow. And I will see you for the next Diablo 3 video. Till next time.